Our top stories this morning. Montana Senator Steve Daines just returned from a visit to South Korea, where he toured the demilitarized zone between North and South Korea. Daines appeared on Fox News with anchor Bill Hemmer, who asked the Montana senator about his view of the latest crisis with the North Korean dictator Kim Jong-un.
There are 25 million people living in Seoul. That's just 35 miles from North Korea border. North Koreans can launch artillery within seconds and hit Seoul. We have 300,000 Americans on the ground. There are 30,000 that serve in the military. The North Koreans have an extensive chemical weapons stockpile.
Daines said all options, starting with sanctions and diplomacy, are still being implemented against North Korea.
That is why it's so important we put all the economic pressure and diplomatic pressure we can on North Korea for a peaceful resolution and denuclearization of the peninsula. But as the president has stated, all options are on the table, and this bully, Kim Jong-un, understands, unfortunately, one thing, and that is strength and force.
North Korea has threatened to shoot down American bombers, even over international waters, due to a perceived threat from President Donald Trump. A 62-year-old Polson woman who was reportedly standing in the driving lanes of U.S. Highway 2 near East Glacier was struck and killed by a sport utility vehicle over the weekend. The Highway Patrol said the collision occurred about 9 o'clock Sunday night. The driver told officers by the time he saw the woman standing in the middle of the road facing him, he was unable to swerve and avoid the collision. The woman died at the scene. The SUV driver and the passenger were not injured. Trooper Michael Dreimeyer said it's not known why the woman was in the road. She has not been identified. Missoula's urban renewal district at 3 tax increment financing district has grown over the years and now includes Southgate Mall and a pedestrian bridge over Reserve Street. Missoula County Fairgrounds Director Emily Bentley believes it's time for that district to grow even larger.
The Fairgrounds is now excluded from URD3, which is the urban renewal TIF district in Midtown, and we would like to be included in the TIF district. We're embarking on a major redevelopment here at the Fairgrounds, and the county's allocated money to do that, and we would like the city and MRA to be a partner.
If the fairgrounds were put into the district, it would allow revenue from area property tax growth to go towards redeveloping the fairgrounds. Bentley said this would also increase the tax value of nearby properties.
The project, which is quadrupling the amount of open space and adding 6,000 feet of trail connections and taking down the chain link fence, will clearly raise the taxable values in the area and improve the adjacent properties and Midtown in general. So we are asking the City Council to include the fairgrounds in the TIF district and put some skin in the game in the project.
Bentley said the sunset of the tax increment financing district would not be extended with this plan. The fairgrounds are already county space and don't generate tax revenue, so any hope of the addition financially paying off for local taxpayers would have to come from tax-based growth in areas near the fairgrounds. The fourth and final candidate under consideration for the presidency at the University of Montana, Charles Chuck Ambrose, the current president of the University of Central Missouri. Ambrose spoke to hundreds of people at the University Center Theater on Monday afternoon and said UM must learn to stand on its own.
Many publics put themselves in the position of thinking that the state should be our solution, right? If we only had more money, if we only had more support. It's really the inverse, that we must look at ourselves as being the solution for the state. And if we have creative energy that helps answer those most important questions, many of the resource challenges will take care of themselves.
Ambrose said there's no way around the fact that UM must be more competitive in recruiting internationally.
We'll have to be globally competitive for students on the basis of a set of outcomes and value proposition that sets the University of Montana apart. And I think your mission and your scale and the personality of your faculty and your research agenda gives the opportunity to offer something of distinct value to students. And then in a very competitive environment, we must compete to win for those students to make the university their choice.
In early October, the Board of Regents and Commissioner of Higher Education, Clayton Christian, will personally interview the finalists, and then the president-elect will be announced. A northern Montana tribe returned control of a jail to the Bureau of Indian Affairs after tribal officials say they couldn't afford to operate it. The Great Falls Tribune reports the federal agency took control of the detention facility on the Fort Belknap Reservation last week after tribal officials reached out to the Bureau for assistance. Fort Belknap Tribal President Mark Azure said the move was not something either party wanted, but there wasn't enough funding for the facility. The 11 permanent and temporary jail employees lost their jobs and were replaced with federal personnel. The Bureau had provided detention services for the Fort Belknap community until the late 1990s. and it's currently conducting an evaluation on the needs of that 10-bed facility. State of Washington has denied a key permit sought by a company that wants to build and operate a large terminal to export coal from the western states to Asia. The Department of Ecology said Tuesday it rejected a water quality permit that Millennium Bulk Terminals wanted because the proposed facility near Longview in southwest Washington state would have caused, quote, significant and unavoidable harm, end quote, to the environment. The department cited impacts to air quality, noise pollution, tribal resources, among other areas. Millennium Bulk Terminals has long hoped to build a facility along the Columbia River to handle up to 44 million tons of coal a year. Trains would carry the coal from Montana, Wyoming, and other states, which would be loaded onto ships headed to Asia. The company did not immediately return a request for comment. The Red Cross could be seen all over Montana the last couple of months, working to bring aid to those affected by wildfires. Red Cross of Montana Regional Communications Director Matt Oxner explains how they were able to get to those fires so quickly, sometimes even in the middle of the night.
We've been extremely busy. As you know, this has been a very prolific wildfire season. You know, we had more acreage burned in July alone than we do some entire wildfire seasons. We have 15 trailers that are pre-positioned across the state with the equipment in them needed to set up a shelter. We have the pieces in place in order to set up a shelter within 4 hours of when that need arises.
Those Red Cross stations do a number of things, including bringing food and providing shelter for those who are displaced.
Since early July to present, Red Cross has set up 18 shelters across all corners of Montana in response to wildfires. That would include 1,000 meals served for folks who were had to evacuate from their homes because of these wildfires. We've seen 188 overnight shelter stays.
One of the toughest times this summer was during Labor Day weekend when the Caribou Fire tripled in size, burning down 10 homes. Oxner says the Red Cross put up 5 shelters that weekend in the space of less than 19 hours. Our News Talk time is 6:12.
Newstalk, KGVO.
Missoula's official weather station.
We could see some patchy fog this morning, but otherwise we're looking pretty good with sunny skies and high temperatures near 70. Tonight we're going to dip down into the lower 40s with clear skies as well. I'm meteorologist Anthony Franz for Missoula, KECI 13.